I'm going to be blunt. As an Asian American, it really sucks to work in emergency response and management services. Does not matter how much effort I put in my discipline. There are times when people's perception of what I am gets in the way of doing my job. Professor Jim Taylor in Psychology Today stated that our perception of the world around us is based on our experiences and knowledge. We see the world as we experience it. We perceive people around us based on this perception, and this very perception makes it difficult for people who look like me. Allow me to share my story. I was a young, newly minted fire apparatus engineer with California Department of Forestry Fire Protection, CDF. We now know CDF as CAL FIRE. I was very proud of my position. I had earned this position through hard work and sacrifices, and I identified myself with this position till that day. After a 72-hour shift, I had decided to stop by a local grocery store. Now I'm in my full fire department uniform, just like this, with a fire engineer badge, a name tag with my name and CDF emblem on it, and a baseball cap with CDF embroidered. After getting a few things, I proceeded to a cashier line. As I placed my stuff on the counter, the lady helping me with bagging the groceries said to me, "I like your food." Now, when a perfect stranger tells you, "I like your food," what would be your response? It's like meeting someone who seems to know you and you don't have the foggiest idea who the person is. My only response was, "Thank you, I guess." As I prepare for my next round of awkwardness, her next comment was, "I really like your food." Now, I knew I was I'm an excellent cook. But there's no way my fame could have gotten that far from the firehouse. As I was trying to figure out what the most polite way of saying, "Who the are you and what the are you talking about?" I noticed a cashier standing immediately right of the young lady throwing multiple left elbow jabs to the young lady's ribs as to say, "Please, stop." Without missing a beat, the young lady said, "I really love your food. We had dinner last night at your restaurant and I really loved your cooking." When a young lady's last comment registered, I was first disappointed that she wasn't talking about my famous cooking. Instead, she was talking about the new Chinese restaurant that had opened up last week in town. Now, I am an Asian American in a fire department uniform. I try to be tactful and professional as possible to my response. As I pointed to my badge, I said, "I'm a firefighter." As I was delivering my response, I could see the cashier's face turning red. However, the response I got from the young lady was, "I still like your food." It was now abundantly clear that the young lady perceived me as what she wanted to see me as. To her, I was a Chinese cook, not the first Asian American helicopter firefighter for CDF or one of the first Asian American fire company officers to be promoted in Northern California. A single person's misperception of me momentarily nullified years of my hard work and sacrifices. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the misperception of Asian American being the harbinger of the virus has increased physical and verbal racial attacks towards us. The scientific facts are evident as the fire badge, the uniform, and the name tag. However, the painful truth is, it's not the facts that drive the hateful attacks. It is decades of racial animus towards Asians and Asian Americans. As in 1879, a Texas judge ruled that killing a Chinese laborer by a white man did not constitute a homicide since the Chinese were not considered human beings. The lynching of 20 Chinese men and boys only a block away from Los Angeles City Hall. The forceful internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. And on July 2020, an 89-year-old Asian was set on fire in New York City. And the most cruel act of hate is the perpetual spreading of the model minority myth. And, of course, the COVID-19. Asian Americans have helped build this country. Building of the Transcontinental Railroad by 15,000 Chinese laborers at a cost of 1,200 of their lives. The 442nd Infantry Regiment, consisting of Japanese American, is the most decorated unit in U.S. military history. Senators Duckworth, Hirono, and Harris, and many other Asian Americans have successfully made our country great. We have challenged the centuries of misperception through blood, sweat, and tears to be proudly called Americans. As we have fought every blunt racial prejudice by being more qualified in speaking out, there are far more who are impacted by misperception of ignorance and hate. Now, we need to fight the fight. Don't hide behind the shadows of anonymity and complacency, only to make this fight someone else's battle. It is the people of different shores who will alter our perceptions for the better of all. Collectively, we can change the perpetual stream of misperceptions of not just us Asian Americans, but for all regardless of race, color, creed, gender, and gender identity. We can mold our collective perception based on facts. Professor Devine and Sharp in 2009 observed that our perception is a progeny of our cultural exposures of our past and present. This subjective social perception, if not challenged, will result in becoming the driving force in how we perceive the world around us. It takes efforts to change our perspectives. And yes, it can be daunting, as it was for a young CDF fire apparatus engineer, and now me, to challenge the views of many of those of you who are entrenched in dated misperceptions. But it can be done, one person at a time. We all make judgments on people based on filtered facts, based on our ignorance. I dare to say I too have been guilty of that. Maybe some of you are guilty too. But do not be fearful of the past. Make changes. Confront your comfort. Look at the facts in front of you. Don't be afraid to challenge your familiar views. Meet and get to know people outside the circle of comfort and challenge the familiar misperceptions. Speak out against distorted views of ignorance. Educate yourself. Maybe then you can not only see the firefighter in front of you, but truly see the person. Thank you.